Welcome back to my channel and my next project. I'm Shireen with Olive Street Designs, and these inherited nightstands are my next project. We are going to see if I can turn these into my client's vision, wow, they're dirty, of modern farmhouse. So as you can see, they're original. This is Drexel. This is late 50s, early 60s, and in good condition for the age that they are. But she had a different vision for them. So I put some stripper on there, and you see this stuff works fast. That was only 5 minutes. Scrape all of that off of there. Some of these details, when they have a little skirt that goes around the edge like that, take more time than almost the entire remaining piece. But it's worth it in the end. So I'm just getting that all scraped off of there. If you let this sit too long, that stripper actually firms back up again and gets harder to remove. So time is of the essence. And if you think it's going to take too long, just do one at a time. Okay, I had a couple areas that had dried and they got a little tricky to remove, so I just put some acetone on there and get the rest of those scraped off. So I'm also using a Carbide Scraper, and this is a little detail scraper that's going to get right down into that crevice. The Carbide Scraper is helping remove everything around the details, and here they are fully stripped. Time to get them sanded. I'm using 120 grit sanding net, and with my orbital sander, I'm going to start doing pretty much just the flat, larger areas. That will make quick work of that area, and then I'm going to have to do quite a lot of hand sanding. Now, French Provincial in and of itself requires a lot of sanding just because of all of its curves. And a lot of times I can do that with a different sander, but in this instance, because of that little area that's kind of like a little fence around the back, it kind of needed some extra attention, so I needed to do a lot of that just by hand. I also didn't want to damage anything using a sander, so I decided to do most of that by hand, and then I'll just finish up with my detail sander at the end for one last round at a 220 grit. So I went 120 and then 150, 220, and you can see now with the pad on there and the detail sander, I'm just doing that last finish sanding. This sander with a pad on it, I think, was really designed for French Provincial. I had a little area that decided it didn't want to stay connected, and this is just veneer that popped right off of there, so I'm just gluing that back down. Careful not to leave a lot of excess glue, and then put a piece of tape over it so it'll stay put. And here they are. Those are prepped and ready. Our next step is stain. So I'm using a PreStain Conditioner. You'll see that was an oil-based PreStain Conditioner. Make sure you get the right kind because there are specific ones for oil or water-based. You don't need to put a lot, and you just want to cover the surface. I have just a small amount on my brush, and you can see it covers a large surface. It's amazing how far you can get with just a few swipes. Wipe back any excess so that it doesn't pool, and you let that sit for a few minutes just to get absorbed into the surface. And PreStain Conditioner really helps your stain to go on evenly. Now this is my stain, Briar Smoke. This is what the client chose based on another project that I had in my garage at the time when we were going over the design. She was like, ooh, I like that. Now some stain works and some doesn't depending on the wood that you're staining. Now this stain did not do well on that particular wood, so I decided to go with a gel stain because the gel stain sits more up on top of the wood instead of being a penetrating stain, and I felt like I could modify that color a little bit more with a gel stain. I did let that dry in between coats, of course, and this is the gel stain. So same process, put it on, let it sit, wipe it off. And then the next day, I came back after everything was all dry, and I'm sealing it with some clear shellac. And this is going to allow me to transition from my oil-based stain to my water-based products. And yes, you can do it without this step, but you just need to let it sit for up to 72 hours so that that is good and dry. Because when you transition from oil to water, of course, they may repel each other. But I like to use this water-based top coat because it doesn't yellow. It's very durable. I do multiple coats, and so I prefer it over the oil-based. Again, I'm sanding in between so that I can do multiple coats, and I ended up doing 5 layers of this. I won't show them all, but same process. Top coat, sand, top coat, sand. After that all got a chance to dry, I'm back in to remove the hardware. It's time to get started on the bodies of these nightstands. And these had those flathead screws because they're old. And I played a little bit of Tetris, just trying to figure out which drawers went where, because they were really rubbing, but when I got them in the right place, they were perfect. Vintage furniture especially really wants to be back in their spot. So I'm now using my cordless scrubber because all these areas were really dirty. I don't know if these had been in storage for a long time or just not cleaned, but they were quite dirty. So before I start putting any products or anything on here, I have to just make sure that they're clean. Those areas that are dirty can sometimes be kind of waxy and gummy, and they will completely gum up your sandpaper. Now I'm just scuff sanding the entire piece, getting everything wiped back and clean. And I'm going to go ahead and tape off the dovetails because I want to protect those so that they don't get any paint on them, because they're just absolutely beautiful. And now that I spent so much time staining the top, I definitely don't want to get any paint on that. So I'm just creating this little border around there with tape, and then I use saran wrap. I put it over the top, connect it to the tape, just make sure that everything is covered. I like this method. There's a ton of different ways to mask this off, and some people do the staining after the painting, and that's totally fine too. This just happens to be my method. And then another little tape around there just to make sure everything is secured. I got my spray tent all set up and ready to go. Now these nightstands have a back, a finished back, so I end up painting all four sides. It's unusual, but some do once in a while, and in that case, when it's not just back or board, I do paint the back. I get asked that a lot. I don't know, people are really curious about whether or not I paint the back, and I will say no, most of the time no, but on these they were actually all the way finished around, so I did. Okay, this is just my primer coat, a good solid base, because these are going to be a lovely farmhouse color, and I want to make sure that I'm just getting everything primed well, sanding in between and wiping everything back again to get all the dust off, because my next layer is white. This is a beautiful creamy white color. I think it's really going to accentuate the stained top, but give her the modern farmhouse feel she's really looking for. But I had some tannin bleed through, and I had to get that sealed up with some Shellac Primer. That will take care of that, so you won't see it anymore. And drips. Yep, it even happens to me. Once in a while, that's where I started my pass with the sprayer, and it just came out with too much product, or I stayed still too long in that area and I got some drips. I saw it when it happened, but when you do, just leave it. Absolutely leave it alone, because it will make a bigger mess trying to fix it when it's wet. So I just sanded everything. I'm doing another quick coat of primer in that area. And I did 2 more coats of paint to get everything all solid, and now this is my top coat. Once that was all dry, it's time to reveal the top and just verify that indeed I did not get any paint on my stain. And that is just looking so beautiful. I love the contrast. Take the tape off the dovetails and see those were well protected. Now I have to address these drawers. I did get some overspray in the drawers, especially when I pulled that one out where I was trying to prime the top of it again. I got a little bit in there. So again, with some acetone, it is great for just getting that stuff out of there. And then some wood conditioner, because these drawers are just beautiful. This is really just going to brighten and freshen up that dry old wood and make it look just stunning. I do the inside and the outside, so I got those dovetails as well. And that drawer now just shines. So here they are and where they started. And this is where they are now. Just a beautiful rendition of what they were. Now this is staying very classic and true to the style, but also updating it in a way that the client now is going to be able to have these heirlooms for many, many more years. I hope you like this makeover as much as I do, and follow for more.